Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're officially playing Mythbuster, and we are dismantling a massive corporate illusion about what career ambition actually means. If you've ever looked at your company's career development framework and felt like their definition of growth completely missed the mark for top-tier high achievers, well, you are definitely not alone. So, let's pull back the curtain and look at the hard, global data.
Okay, let's dive right into an assumption that is baked into almost every HR department and management philosophy on the planet. You know the drill, right? You sit down to fill out your annual review, and the desire to become an international market leader is treated as this universal catch-all indicator of growth. The standard logic usually goes something like this. If you want to expand globally, you must just really love personal growth journeys. Or, on the flip side, you're pushing for some reckless growth-at-all-cost metric. But treating ambition as a one-size-fits-all checkbox on an HR form, that is a massive miscalculation, and it completely misunderstands the psychological wiring of your most driven strategists.
And right here, this is our smoking gun. Point 1328. This specific positive Pearson correlation is pulled from global data, and it fundamentally flips the conversation on ambition. It directly links the desire to be an international market leader to a highly specific behavioral pattern and spiral dynamics theory, known as the orange vMEME, basically a highly competitive, intensely results-driven mindset. We aren't just talking about some vague personality quirk here. We are talking about a quantifiable, mathematical link between a major career choice and an exact worldview.
What's literally mind-blowing here is the sheer rigor of this data. We aren't just taking a wild guess based on the tiny focus group of Silicon Valley executives. We're looking at a massive sample size of over 1,600 professionals spread out across 83 countries and 20 different languages. And our correlation of 0.1328 sits well above the critical value of 0.0483 for statistical significance. This essentially takes career ambition out of the realm of abstract management theory and drops it right into reliable, hard mathematics. The data definitively proves that the orange mindset is significantly more likely to hunt down international market leadership.
So, what actually is this orange mindset in the real world? Well, when these folks look at international leadership, they are absolutely not looking for a journey of self-discovery. They view the entire concept through a hyper-focused, results-driven lens. For them, international expansion is a highly measurable milestone. It's the ultimate proof of their competitive capability. It's all about scalable global impact and competitive differentiation. If you frame their ambition as mere personal growth, or worse, assume it's just recklessness, you are completely missing their strategic machinery.
And here's the kicker. This is absolutely not a one-off anomaly. We've got a consistent positive pattern across multiple prior samples. Whether it's 0.1282, 0.1390, or 0.1157, the data repeatedly shows that this specific mindset consistently favors results-driven execution over relational fulfillment. It's just a rock-solid, reliable signal. If you present the opportunity of international market leadership, the orange mindset will consistently leap at it, because it perfectly aligns with their internal drive to win.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really fascinating core conflict, because the exact same opportunity triggers three entirely different behavioral responses depending entirely on an employee's psychological wiring. While orange sees this as a measurable milestone validating their competitive capability, a blue-dominant individual interprets it completely differently. Blue looks at international expansion and sees a duty-based task requiring strict procedural compliance and ethical standards across borders. Meanwhile, a yellow-dominant individual looks at it as just one contextual opportunity among many, and they evaluate it purely on systemic fit and emergent value. Honestly, if your company treats all three of these people like they want the exact same thing, your career framework is totally destined to fail.
So how do we actually turn this into a usable management tool? Let's look at this dynamic programming model called the algebra of conscience. You can think of this as the absolute new frontier of management. It's an interface that allows us to mathematically map these psychological profiles into a predictive state vector. By mapping specific mindsets against psychological sensors, like fear and trust, we can literally simulate management actions. We no longer have to cross our fingers and guess how a team will react. We can actually calculate the optimal path to keep them firing on all cylinders.
But what happens when management just completely ignores these state vectors? Well, the operational consequences are, frankly, catastrophic. When a company treats Orange's strategic ambition as a reckless growth-at-all-costs mindset, the whole system breaks. Orange experiences what we call expansion anchor loss. They become deeply, deeply skeptical of leadership. Suddenly, your career development initiatives completely misalign with their expectations. If your success metrics only reward relational fulfillment and totally ignore competitive differentiation, you don't just lose their interest. You are effectively pathologizing their core value creation protocol.
So how does this failure actually play out on the floor? It almost never happens in some dramatic table-flipping explosion. Actually, it's more of an insidious, quiet escalation. Step 1. The company pushes this universal growth framing. Step 2. Your top orange performers develop strategic skepticism. Step 3. They start exhibiting performative humility. Just playing the corporate game to appease a system they literally no longer respect. And finally, step 4. Silent ambition drift. Your absolute best strategists quietly update their resumes and take their competitive drive straight to your competitors.
When we plug all these correlations back into our dynamic models, the implications are just undeniable. You absolutely have to design career frameworks for the reality of the mindsets in your organization. Your orange-dominant staff need to experience expansion as competitive validation. Blue-dominant staff, they need ethical accountability. Yellow needs systemic fit. The very second leadership assumes a universal definition of ambition, framework failure is mathematically guaranteed.
To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a really vital question to chew on for your own organization. What breaks when strategic expansion is framed as a universal growth indicator rather than a contextual signal? And more importantly, how do you design career development that preserves competitive differentiation, not just relational fulfillment, within strategic achievement opportunity contexts? Because true ambition isn't some one-size-fits-all HR metric. It is a precise strategic signal just waiting to be understood. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.